Right, so today I should be able to get the plastics back on and take her out for a little ride. I'm not going to go too far, and I want to take things really slowly and check everything as I go, just in case I haven't done things up tight enough or I've forgotten to do something. And I'm going to test everything before I leave too. But while the bike's like this, I thought I'd just talk through a few things that I've had to replace over the years, just to maybe get a bit of an understanding as to things that have failed on my F650 or things that have been particularly good on my F650. So, right, first, what should we talk about? Chain and sprockets, just one of the kind of standard serviceable items along with the brake pads. I did have an issue when I was travelling in Russia when the garage that I went to there only replaced the front sprockets, and I'm sure a lot of you are aware that it's always best to replace them at the same time. And then because of this, it made a tight spot in the chain, and it was really irritating actually for probably the next few hundred miles that I did until I could go back to Moscow, and then that was after Japan actually, did a few weeks in Japan, came back to Moscow, and then I was able to replace the whole set then, and it was much better. When I was on the road, I had my rear wheel bearing go. Again, not a problem because I found some lovely people in Siberia that could help. And to be fair, by that point, we'd probably done about 15,000 miles. So I can't really complain about that. Tyres. I left on my trip with some Haynes, I don't even know how to say them, which I would always use before, but I didn't realise how quickly they squared off. And they were pretty rubbish. And then in Moscow, I replaced them to Shinkos, which had really bad reviews because they're, I don't know, from China. They were quite cheap actually when I got them from Moscow. And they lasted us all the way from Moscow. I'm trying to think when we actually replaced them. Basically all the way around the world to Japan. And then I replaced them on my way back when I got back to Moscow. Yeah. Many thousands of miles later. And another brilliant thing, in the 18,000 mile trip that I didn't get one puncture, and that is pretty impressive. Other things to talk about, a little kink on my footrest there where I came off in Mongolia, but that hasn't caused me any problems. I had my rear brake master cylinder fail. This was before I went travelling, so this was probably back in 2016. And my friend actually helped me sort this out. At the time, I did kind of bodge it for about a year and carried on riding it with the kind of failing rear brake master cylinder, but that isn't a good thing to do. So yeah, I ended up replacing this before I went, and that's been completely fine since. Just watch out for this part failing too. What else? So the first problem that happened when I was travelling, this broke in Moscow. I seem to mention Moscow a lot, don't I? So my fan failed. I hadn't even looked at any of the components on this, hadn't really taken it apart before I left to go travelling. But yeah, this failed. So when I was on a motorway, really busy one, really congested, my bike overheated, temperature light came on, the cap flew off the coolant reservoir. I was literally in the middle of the motorway in a steam of smoke just all around me. Well, it was steam, like just pouring around me. And again, we were rescued by some fantastic people that have a garage called Junkyard Customs, and they helped me fix this. There's actually a guy called Alec, who rescued us on the motorway, took us to this place, and then helped us fix it with his friends Dennis and Andre. So yeah, watch out for your fan going. But again, can't really complain because by this point, I would assume my bike was probably on over 70,000 miles. Battery, the one I had in it, failed when I was in Kazakhstan, but that's just another thing again, like I suppose sprockets and stuff, everyone knows, kind of keep an eye on their battery. And I had mine in for, I think ever since I bought the bike, probably about 5 years prior to that trip. Just always make sure it's well charged if you're not using your bike, and that the levels are topped up. Other things, I suppose, well, the biggest thing that went wrong on the trip was my water pump failed. That happened when I was in Hodka in Far East Russia. The first sign is you start to get foamy white kind of sludge in your oil. So when I started seeing that, I began worrying. obviously continued riding her because I didn't really have a choice. And then the other thing you'll get is you'll start getting drips coming out of the weep hole under here, where the water pump is. So yeah, I was, well, really panicked when I noticed all this. And again, that's when a lovely garage, Moto Life, in the Hodka, they rescued us, took my engine casing off, refilled where the water pump is in here, and it was just a broken seal. And the gas speed bump, they took it off, the bolts of the seats going into the engine, everything, the gasket needed replacing, so it was a good job that they did take it apart. But that is something I haven't done myself. If it failed again, I think I would be confident enough now to do it myself. Yeah, so I haven't obviously filmed this part at all in any of my videos, but if it were to happen again, I'll make sure that I put something up on that. Michael in Germany actually asked me in one of my videos whether I was also going to do the coolant. I didn't replace the coolant that long ago, which is why I'm leaving it, but I have said to him that I'll probably replace that around winter time, so maybe like 6 months time or something. And when I do that, I'll do another video just to show you how I get all the coolant out of the system, put in the fresh coolant. It's not too bad really. So yeah, hopefully I'll show you that kind of December time. In December I will probably replace the chain and sprockets too, so I can do a little video on that because I've had mine on for quite a few thousand now, but they don't look too bad, which is why I've left them. And if it's not broken, why replace it? I'm just trying to think if there's anything else really. Oh yeah, and the other thing, if you are going to go travelling, do make sure you do have a very good guard against your exhaust, because I wrapped mine before I went. I thought it'd be good enough, and it didn't even last like 1,000 miles. My luggage was already getting holes burnt in it. So just make sure you do put on some kind of contraption to stop your bags from burning. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else really to talk about that went wrong. I did write a little list. Let me just check that. Oh yeah, the other thing is, I don't know if anyone else has this issue, but on the F650s, they lean over so much. And my bike had a really bad side stand on it before I left. And literally I put on its side stand and it would look like it was about to fall over. And then with all the luggage on, all the bags, I just wasn't confident taking that around the world with me. So I ended up replacing it. But to get the side stand off, my bolt was hugely seized in. And it took a lot of hard work to get that out in the end. So just make sure, again, like in one of my last videos, that you lubricate things really often, because if you do then have to come to take it off at some point, it will be a hell of a lot easier. Right, well, I think that's kind of everything. So today, all I'm going to do is pop on my front mud guard now. Once I've done that, I'm going to put on the side plastics, then I'm going to lubricate the chain and just check that I've done all the spindles up, all the important stuff, that the brakes really pumped through, ready for me to go on the road. And then I'll take my little baby out. Right, for now I've just cut the heated grips back because I don't want that loose cable flying about all over the place. I did order some last night, so on my next video I'll probably be replacing these, and I'll just tidy up this handlebar section here, maybe spray up these little bits to make it look prettier. Right, so now I'm just going to pop the plastics on. Right, the fairing's back in with all the screws. Can be a little bit annoying putting them in all the time, every time you want to work on your bike. But yeah, I mean, over time you'll realise things don't quite line up anymore, or the screws don't go in that easily. I sometimes just ride with a couple of them missing. Probably shouldn't admit to that, but as long as the plastics are on securely, I don't really care too much about that. Right, so yeah, let's get her out. Let's take her for a ride. Just need to put the seat on, lube the chain, and yeah, do some checks and go. Right, a problem I've noticed already. So there is me saying I'm not going to do my chain sprockets until a few months' time. I've just lubricated the chain, I've spun it a few times, and already I can feel a tight spot in there. So I've just taken off the small sprocket cover again, and I can't believe I didn't really notice when I had it off before, maybe because I was sitting at this angle a little bit more. But yeah, it is quite wavy, so I'll be ordering a new set of those tonight. I'm going to take it out for a little spin anyway, while the weather's nice, and it's going to be much easier to work on now I've cleaned everything up. So yeah, looks like in a week or so I'll be doing a video on how to do the chain and sprockets. Okay, so I've just got back from my ride. Things weren't too bad, it's running quite smoothly, except the rear brake isn't working. So it's working well enough when I was at home, just spinning the wheel and pushing that brake, but out on the road it's not effective. So at some point I need to take the caliper back off and have a look. I might have just got too much air in the system or something, but I need to bleed the brakes anyway. So I might as well wait for the chain and sprocket to arrive, because I need to take the wheel off to do that. I'll do the rear brake caliper at the same time, check that over, bleed the brakes, and then do the heated grips. But other than that, everything seems okay. The oil level seems fine. There is a little bit of oil underneath the engine, but it's where the chain is, and I'm convinced it is just where I didn't clean up the chain well enough, so it's just pushed out a bit of dirty oil as I'm riding. But I will mop that up and then put a clean white rag underneath tonight, just to check that there are no leaks. But yeah, other than that, it all seems good.